Kansas Senator Roger Marshall. Good morning, Senator. So Russ has already done the job. He knows the job. Why are Democrats picking this mountain to fight on?
Well, look, they understand that Russ is a man of his word. He's going to do what he said he was going to do, that he's going to fulfill President Trump's missions. That OMB office is that little engine that can. Not many people know about it, but he can quietly really implement a lot of what DOJ wants us to do as well, that he can oversee the day-to-day operations and make our government more efficient. He can really help us with the budgeting process. He's going to help us with the reconciliation process as well. So a very, very instrumental person there in President Trump's cabinet, and he's going to do a great job, by the way.
Yeah, Senator, to your point, I mean, and to make a comparison here, he already knows where the bodies are buried. He knows the federal budget process. He's been in that job before. He doesn't have to learn on the fly. You would think, much like we saw with Senator, now Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who flew through the nomination process, that this would be an easy one for Democrats to just say, we'll fight another nominee. This one seems okay.
Yeah, I would remind your listeners that Russ is really the person that helped write the agenda for the National Republican Party. Remember that little six-point agenda? Secure the border, set American energy free, 6 basic points. So this guy knows how to implement a plan. He's going to do a great job. They're scared to death of him. But again, I think it starts with that budget process. I'm on the budget committee. Look forward to working with him as we develop a budget to get this reconciliation bill across the finish line, to get President Trump the money that he needs to secure the border.
Yeah, shifting to another one of the president's nominees, Pete Hegseth, the newest smear campaign coming now from his ex-wife's sister, who says her sister feared for her safety when she was with Hegseth. Now, we know the ex-wife calls these reports inaccurate. I mean, do the Democrats have legitimate gripes with these people? Or are they just going to resist Trump at all costs? This seems to me like Brett Kavanaugh 2.0.
Oh, what is? This is character assassination. First, it was anonymous sources, and now the person they're referring to, his second wife, says, no, this isn't true. Here's this estranged sister-in-law who's coming out of nowhere to talk about this. This was very staged. It was very timed. The Democrats waited till this moment. But I just want to reassure your listeners that what Pete Hegseth is going to do is address 2 big problems in our military. He's going to be the best recruiter the military's ever seen, and he's going to address the morale. My youngest son happened to be in my office the day that Pete was coming through. My son had just returned from Poland doing active duty there in the Army. He and Pete hit it off in just a moment. They discussed the problems in the military. Pete gets it. He's understand it. He's going to always prioritize those war fighters out there like my son, as opposed to this big national military industrial complex. I think Pete gets through. It's going to be tight, but I think he gets through, and he's going to be a great Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, to that point, Senator, I saw some reporting, I think it was in Axios, that said Senator McConnell, former Senate Majority Leader, along with Senators Murkowski and Collins, may be voting against Hegseth. If that's true, that gives you exactly 50, the number you need. Are you disappointed in Senator McConnell, the former leader of the Senate Republican caucus, for not supporting the president's nominee?
Look, every senator has their own vote. I don't know what Senator McConnell's reasoning is for this, but regardless, this is why it's great to have control of the White House, that J.D. Vance is going to come in and break that tie. I'll let Leader McConnell speak for himself. I fully support Pete Hegseth. 50 of us are going to support him. We'll get him across the finish line, and then let's make the military great again, and that's what Pete's going to do.
You know, in our last 15, 20 seconds, Senator, you introduced legislation that mandates the obvious. The federal government recognizes there are only 2 genders, as well as the Flag for All Act, both of which President Trump just signed as executive orders. This is important to pass, so it can't be undone by a future radical leftist Democrat president.
Well, I think we passed the legislation, it can't be undone. But this is a 95% issue. When I survey Kansans, 95% of Kansans do not want boys competing in girls' sports. They don't want boys in their daughter's locker room. For the Democrats to hang on to this issue is just astounding. But look, yeah, I'm a physician. I'm an obstetrician. Over 5,000 times I held up a baby and said, this is a boy, this is a girl. God makes us that way, one or the other. Anything different is a slap in the face of God.
All right, Kansas Senator Roger Marshall, thanks for joining us this morning.
Information, truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.